for sure the points races in the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series will begin to take shape today. We are in Dallas, Texas at the Texas Motorplex, home of the AAA Texas Fall Nationals. Race 13 of 16 this year on the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series. Alongside of Alan Reinhart, I'm Dave Reeves. So glad you could join us for perhaps what's the biggest shocker here, the fact that Frank Manzo goes out, wins Charlotte, says it's the last time I'm going to be in a car. Until this week.
You didn't buy that, did you?
Nah, not really, no.
Frank Manzo for the last couple of years has waited till the end of the season, got on a hot streak, and then I think he just loves a challenge. You know, when his back's against the wall, he comes out swinging, and, well, we've seen what he's done. Over 100 national event wins and those 16 championships. I wouldn't bet against him right now. Frank
Manzo is going to retire someday, but just not today. He's the #1 qualifier. He's into round number 2. Let's also show you what's going on in Top Alcohol Funny Car, beginning with a couple of California guys getting it on in Texas. Doug Gordon and the Woz, Mark Wozniacek.
The interesting connection here is that Adam Rhodes, who has been helping Doug Gordon's team, actually came here with Mark Wozniacek to get his car straightened out. They made a nice run, but just didn't quite have enough for the MB Cabinets car.
And by that much, you can see that Doug Gordon took the win. 62, better than a 5.63. Then it'll be another California runner, Shane Westerfield, taking on the homeboy from Corpus Christi, Steve Burke.
Shane Westerfield has got a lot on his plate this weekend. A lot of California cars out here where there was just matchup after matchup in round number 1. But that 552 number will show you that he is ready to play with Manzo or anybody.
California represented, so is New Jersey. Dan Pomponio started the season very, very well, but Brian Brown's protecting the home turf out of Gainesville, Texas.
Pomponio had a crazy ride in qualifying where he actually crossed the center line and then swerved back over into his lane before the finish line. But this round 1 is going to be his last of the weekend. Brian Brown advances, and he'll take on the aforementioned Frank Manzo in round 2.
Ray Drew is in the near lane, set to take on Chris Foster here. Watch Foster's car. Looks like he's in pretty good shape till right there. Little wobble, little pedal, and that's going to cost him. Ray Drew gets the win by about a half a car length. We showed you the margin of victory of the earlier pair. This one looks very similar to that one, but this time it's in the near lane.
Foster was coming. He had a little more mile an hour, but just flat ran out of real estate.
So the ladders, we look forward now to round number 2. Includes Frank Manzo with the lane choice, as is Jay Payne, a California runner on this side of the ladder. Over on the other side, it will be Annie Whiteley with the opportunity. Yep.
The California side. Annie Whiteley's from Colorado, but Doug Gordon, Shane Westerfield, John Lombardo, all West Coast cars. And remember, Annie may be from Colorado, but she is the West Coast regional champion.
And speaking of Shane Westerfield, he's standing by right now with our John Kernan.
You are looking at the motorhome that pulls the transporter for Shane Westerfield's Alcohol Funny Car team. And already this motorhome has put over 30,000 miles on it this year as the Southern California-based team has traveled basically from coast to coast. And Shane, why so much travel?
Just, you know, it makes it more fun for us. We try to do a new race every year, and that was on the schedule to try to do it. And a lot of people talked about how cool of a facility it is, kind of like Vegas with trees. And we like going to Vegas. We always ran well. So it was a new place for us. We had to go try it. We loved it, and we'll probably go back next year.
He's talking about ZMAX Dragway outside of Charlotte, where he went to the semifinals last weekend. Next weekend, he's getting married. So tell me, you're taking her on a real honeymoon, not to another race.
I tried talking her to Maple Grove. She didn't go for that one. So we're going to Hawaii, take a couple weeks off, and then hit Vegas, Pomona again. But, you know, we did travel this year at Houston. We did Topeka and Seattle, and we skipped Indy. It was my birthday weekend, so we decided to take that one weekend off. But we're having fun, man. It's a hobby that we treat as a business, and the sponsors like us to travel, so it's what we do.
Having fun, that's what it's all about. He takes on John Lombardo Jr. in the second round today.
And it begins with Frank Manzo. When will he retire? That's the question. We'll ask him, well, whenever he bows out today. We bow out with a win, though.
We could ask him every week. The answer is going to be Pomona. I don't care what he tells you today.
The answer is going to be when I get out of the car for the last time, but that's the question. When will that be?
Frank has actually not made a lot of appearances in Texas. This is only the 4th time that he has run the national event here at the Texas Motorplex. And because I always try to sneak one past the stat guy someplace, Manzo ran Roe Yale in the opening round. He'd never raced him before. That was 218 different people. The car you're looking at right there out of Empire Ironworks, that is Brian Brown. He's never raced Frank. That makes 219 different opponents that Frank has gone up against in his storied career.
You know, if I was going to try to play stump the stat guy, I probably wouldn't do it with Frank Manzo.
No, you may have a point.
You pretty much have, like, you worship him, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to go back and work on my Roe Yale stats.
There you go.
Reaction's basically a coin flip.
Laps time's not, though. Frank Manzo, 5:51.9. Brian Slows to a 5.98. And well, we've seen this show before. Frank Manzo going rounds, and if you don't take him out early, makes it tough on the competition.
Frank, just another good, solid, clean run. Perfect weather conditions here at the Motorplex, and you saw the flash bang out there on Brian's car. That's why his speed was down only 173. In NASCAR terms, he blowed her up.
Well, you can see each one of those cylinders popping and banging there as we slow it down in Ultramo. Go 1,800 frames a second.
Pushed out a head gasket. That's each time that cylinder fires, it's letting the flame go inside the car. 1,800 frames per second?
That's fast.
That's amazing.
That's John Lombardo and Shane Westerfield. They're our next pair. But first, we go to the top end, John Kernan.
Yeah, with Frank Manzo at 51 with the 9. But did I misunderstand you last week at Charlotte? I thought you weren't going to be here.
Well, it was a last-minute decision. You know, like I said, it's probably be my last year. My wife says, I don't want to hear you sitting in a chair for the next 20 years saying, what would happen if we went to Dallas? And I haven't been here since '99. And, you know, we don't have the data that we have at the other tracks. But we're just going to take this Alan Abbey and Lucas and Hoosier tires and go to the next round and see what happens.
We'll see you there.
Better not show up without data. They'll whoop you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
No. And thank God he's, it's only 19 years if he does get out of the seat, this year. But what if we'd have just come back and done one more year?
A great California matchup here. That's John Lombardo. Of course, we've talked about his dad, Little John, from the early days of Nitro Funny Car Racing. And Shane Westerfield, who's got a tuxedo waiting after the end of this event.
Uh-oh, look at this. Shane Westerfield's going to get the win with a great run, 5:53. He left on John Lombardo, and he outran him on the time slip.
We talked about the fact that this race was crucial for John Lombardo if he wanted to get back into the point lead, and it's not going to happen here. A terrific side-by-side run, a couple of thousandths apart on the reaction timer, and only about 400ths apart at the finish line.
Shane Westerfield, though, is running fourth in the points, and by that much you'll get the win. That's where you were headed, I believe. But Shane's collecting points now.
He definitely is. About a car length at the finish line. Shane Westerfield advances to the semifinals.
So that will bring us to Jay Payne in that Peak Motor Oil funny car. Supposed to be a car in the opposite lane. Ray Drew, haven't seen that yet. Not sure if it made it back. Ray out of Hales Corner, Wisconsin. Jay, of course, out of Claremont, California.
Jay is as close as you can get to a touring professional, even though he does have a full-time gig back in California. He runs a pretty successful trucking company out there, and this is his means of escape, but he certainly runs it as a professional race team. Looks like it's going to be a solo.
It's his wife Shelly out there backing him into the preferred groove here, trying to get the most amount of traction. For more on Jay Payne, there's the stat guy.
Jay Payne's 30th race here at the Texas Motorplex. And Alan, I'm sure you remember this. He's had some great moments here. He's won here, but he had a really bad moment back in 1990 when he had a rare top outfall dragster blow over.
That is going back a ways. Yeah, he flipped the thing over backwards by the time it got to about the 300-foot mark. Strange, Ray Drew, we saw him win that first-round matchup when Foster had the problems and didn't notice any problems. But here it's time for round two. For whatever reason, he was unable to answer the bell.
Shelly spraying some de-icer in the top of the injector there to make sure those blades don't freeze shut.
Or open.
Or open, that's, yeah, great point there. So Jay going to get a free look. Ray Drew not able to make it back, so we know it's going to be Payne and Manzo.
I do believe they've raced before. I'll double check on that.
Jay's been as quick as a 5:55, goes 5:60 here. And he will give up lane choice by about 0.08 of a second. Manzo, Jay Payne, though, that's a primetime semifinal matchup here in Texas. When we come back, the final pair of alcohol funny cars, Andy Whiteley and Doug Gordon, and then it'll be top alcohol dragsters, the Texas Motorplex.
Brought to you by Lucas Oil, the world leader of high-performance lubricants and problem-solving additives for everyday cars and trucks.
This is Steve Gasparelli in alcohol funny car qualifying. Pop at the top there. You see the Zeus tabs flying up into the sky. Steve made his way to round number one, but got beat out by John Lombardo, who just got beat out by Shane Westerfield, who's in his semifinal for the first time at Texas. Waiting the winner of this pair, Andy Whiteley, with the MB Cabinets car of Doug Gordon. John.
with Shane Westerfield. And Shane, a 53 with a 5.5, 53 with a 5 there. Was that about what you expected?
That's great for this weather. We watch Frank go 51. We all kind of base our times off what he does. So if we're only 200s off, we're looking pretty good. So it was flat and smooth and straight. And the race, John, he's one of the best ones out here. And to get around him. But for my sponsors, CP Pistons, Perillo Rods, Bullet Series, Jet Lube, Fluid Sealing Products, Blake Brothers Racing, Coast Design Exhibits, a bunch of people helping us out here. My whole crew is on it this weekend. We haven't broken apart, and hopefully enough to now. And I'm excited, man. We get to go play again. It's good.
Hopefully you didn't jinx it right there.
Now Shane advances to the semifinals after bowing out in the second round here. 2 times he's raced. Doug Gordon has never been past the second round at Dallas.
The father-son team against the husband-wife team.
Give it to the wife team here. Annie Whiteley just earned her 21st national event round win with a 5:51.6, a time slip. Stat guy better than the ace, Frank Manzo. How about that?
I'm waiting for her to run in the 540s, Alan. She's the next one on the list.
Yeah, it definitely won't be long. Roger Bateman and the guys that make that car run have really got it running on mean. 563 for Doug Gordon for the record at 256 miles an hour. But Annie Whiteley advances. She and Frank Manzo have got a little bit of a friendly rivalry going so far this year. They've met up a number of times. So far, Frank's got the better of it, but then he pretty much always does. Our final 4 is set. Those 2 wouldn't race until the final. Let's check in with John Kernan.
And with Jay Payne, a 560 on a single right there. Were you trying something?
Yes.
What were you trying?
It didn't work, so it doesn't matter. But the peak fire ice car, luckily we got a single, so we're going on the next round, and we can use try.
Yeah, he's got Frank Manzo in the next round.
Try something else.
For sure, but Jay Payne, Frank Manzo, that'll be a great matchup, as will Annie Whiteley and Shane Westerfield. It's the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series, race 13 of 16 today at the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, and we are to the semifinals where Frank Manzo and Jay Payne represent the first of 2 pairs. Annie Whiteley and Shane Westerfield will come up next. 1, 2, 3, and 4 qualifiers in the semis.
It very rarely happens that we get this far without having some kind of a big upset, but well, so far at Texas, it's gone kind of according to Hoyle. Jay Payne, Frank Manzo, very good friends. Their wives, very good friends. Their history in funny cars goes back to '99. Their friendship even further back when Jay was racing dragsters.
And they're even off the starting line, both with a couple of wiggles, but by the narrowest of margins. Frank with a 5:55.7 takes the win. Margin of victory there, just a little under 200ths of a second for the ace, adding more points perhaps toward a 17th world championship.
And once Frank gets to the final, as we take another look at just a terrific drag race. We've been talking about it all season long. 42 straight times if he's made it to the final, he's left with the trophy. The last guy to beat him in a final was actually Jay Payne. Jay lost a motor down there. That may have had something to do with him coming up about a half a car short.
Well, the reaction at the starting line as they realize they have an opportunity now to push that to 43 straight. Yeah, the Alan Abbey crew likes what they see as their driver, Frank Manzo, moves on.
For their semifinal matchup, they'll be next down at the top end with Frank Manzo. And Frank, you keep rolling right along. Slow down a little bit there, but I imagine it's because it's hotter out, right?
Yeah, I left it alone for the first run. I know Jay is tough, and we've had a lot of shaking problems here. Quivered the tires again. It's just got to keep going rounds right now. It's Alan Abbey, Lucas, who's your tire, and we'll see what happens here.
He's going to go to work and be ready for the final.
The first time Frank has ever been to the final round in Texas. Of course, remember, it's only the 4th time he's raced here in Dallas.
Good point. That was a points matchup between Manzo and Payne. Manzo, the point leader. Payne was 7th. Will bow out today, not add to his points. How about this, though? This is Annie Whiteley, who's 6th in the points. Shane Westerfield, 4th. We're running out of races.
These guys have both been making a living in the 550 zone. This one, really, the performance of the cars all weekend has been close enough. It could come down to who lets the clutch out first on the starting line.
Well, 84 degrees, too. I'm not sure if we're going to see a 550 pass here. Manzo showed us that it is out there, but rather than use Manzo as a barometer, why don't you just race the racetrack?
Annie Whiteley was quicker than Frank Manzo in the last round. Remember that.
That's a great point. Shane Westerfield just pull one off? Yes, he did. 5:54, and it is out there. And guess what? It is quicker than Frank Manzo.
It is also a hole shot of Annie, 5:52, but she left a little bit on the reaction timer, and that cost her down at the top end of the racetrack.
And how about this? Shane Westerfield will be in his 4th final ever, looking for his first round win, taking on a man who now has won more than 100 times in his career, Frank Manzo. I bet Shane Westerfield would have just as soon seen Frank Manzo retire at the last race, but as it is, he will pick his lane against the ace in the Alcohol Funny Car Final.
That's 200s at the finish line stripe. Annie Whiteley a little bit late with the clutch.
Shane, let me throw this at you. A hole shot, an 0.55 to an 0.98. You've got lane choice against Frank Manzo in the final. How do you like your chances of ending his string of 42 straight final round victories?
You got my heart beating for that one, man. That's pretty cool. Go against him. Lane choice, Dallas, one of our sponsors, hometown race. Some of them couldn't even be here. This is huge right now. I'm getting married next weekend, and what a wedding gift to me and the whole family. If we can pull this one out and go against Frank, doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
By Lucas Oil, the world leader of high-performance lubricants and problem-solving additives for everyday cars and trucks.
Boy, they weren't lying. Everything is big in Texas. The sun sets here in the western skies. Time now for our top Alcohol Funny Car Final here at race 13 of 16 on the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Trail. It's going to be Frank Manzo, Shane Westerfield. Guaranteed we know 2 things. One of these drivers is going to get a first-time win at Dallas. That would make them, number 2, the 18th different Alcohol Funny Car racer to win at the Texas Motorplex.
I know something else.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Frank Manzo has not had to test that right lane very much. He's been keeping lane choice. He's been staying on the left side of the track. Now, the Motorplex is all concrete. It was the first one of its kind, but you still get into a comfort zone. And not only is it Frank having to be on the side of the track where he hasn't been before, he doesn't often pull up to the starting line going, that guy's car was faster than mine.
I try to put Frank's career into perspective. Think about this. Don Garlitz won 30% of the races he entered. Frank Manzo, right now, 41%.
Wow. Well, when you win that many times, there's numerous ways you can put it in perspective.
His trophy case is bigger than my living room, if that puts it into perspective.
He's got a trophy house for all of those things. Can Westerfield knock him off, get his first national event win?
He'd be the first guy since 2006 to beat Frank in a final.
And how about this? After 42 straight national event wins, Shane Westerfield has done what has been virtually impossible, and that is beat the ace in a final.
They were nearly identical in reaction time, and Shane Westerfield just flat outran Frank. Not many people do that. Watching on the instant replay, Westerfield out in front at the 8th mile had a 500ths advantage lead.
Wow, I thought that little wiggle might cost him, but Shane kept it gathered in, and he's going home with a Wally for the first time ever, and a Wally over Frank Manzo.
I would almost bet you a cheeseburger he's going to take that Wally to the church with him when he gets married next week.
Hey, Stagger, that percentage goes down by just a little bit. It's probably 40.9.
Just think that Shane, he was 0-3 in finals racing Tony Bartone. He beats Frank Manzo. Wow.
Now, there have been some big-time winners in Alcohol Funny Car here. Pat Austin, Tony Bartone, Cy Chesterman, Gary Selzy, and now Shane Westerfield can add his name to that list.
Speaking of Tony Bartone, before we get to the Alcohol Dragster final, he was here this weekend and failed to qualify. That doesn't happen very often.
No, it does not. So we wait for the Alcohol Dragsters to fire to life and listen to the reaction of Shane.
Did it. Finally did it.
That is a classic thrill of victory. And if we had a camera on the stat guy, we could show you the agony of defeat.
Easy.
Okay. All right, Jen, come on in.
And at the top end with a victorious Shane Westerfield, and Shane to beat Frank Manzo in a final. What does this mean to you?
It was an unbelievable weekend, as Frank Manzo would say. I mean, the guy's the best. He's won 9,000 of these races. He knows what it's like, and I've never done it before, and this is just spectacular. We had the best weekend that could possibly be. The only thing that wasn't the best part was that my future wife isn't here. I'm getting married next week, and I wish she was here to be with me and my whole family, but we did it. So Bullet Series CP Pistons, Fluid Sealing Products, Blake Brothers Racing, Lucas Oil, Goodyear. We did it. Yeah!
Will it be the last time Frank Manzo steps on the gas at a track?